Welcome back, everyone. Boy, we have a wonderful story here. Recently, I was up at Watkins Garden Center. Tim Watkins, good friend of ours and a wonderful garden center, by the way. And Tim started to tell us the story of his life partner, Mike Kovarik, who had an unbelievable experience with, of all things, breast cancer. So we got to talk to Mike and invited him on to tell the story. So first, Mike, welcome.
Thank you so much for
Nice,
having me
nice
on.
to have you here.
I appreciate it.
And if your experience is anything, you certainly look pretty damn good right now, I'll tell you.
It's been an interesting journey.
But it hasn't always been that way.
Yeah.
Give us a little background. We have quite a bit of information to cover here, but let's start with the background.
Sure.
2006, 2007.
At the end of 2006, I had noticed a lump on my left chest. And being a typical male, very reluctant to
I'll
kind
take care of it.
Yeah. Eventually, within a few months, my left nipple inverted. And so my GP sent me to a surgeon. And they were all thinking it was a cyst. And so I was sitting in January of 2007, sitting in my surgeon's office. And his first words were, "I wish I had better news." And he then proceeded to tell me that it was cancer. Interestingly, the lab report that came out at that time had said that they felt it originated from my lungs. So, but my surgeon and my GP were very strongly in the thinking that it was breast cancer, and they felt that I was going to be one of those rare cases of male breast cancer.
Wow, you're not kidding. Now, typical in Western Hemisphere, Western culture, first thing, whack it with drugs, right? What's that classic drug that they put you on?
Tamoxifen at first.
Yes, right.
And so I was on tamoxifen. They had taken the lump out. They did the mastectomy. Was on tamoxifen for about 4 years. And at that point, I was just really kind of focusing on that 5-year mark. Get me to that 5-year mark where I'm going to be cured. And so I struggled with the side effects with tamoxifen. Just kind of robotically was going through life at that time, just getting to that 5-year mark. And about 4 years into the journey, in November of 2010, I found out that the cancer had come back. And at that point, my oncologist, which I now had a new oncologist because my initial one had retired, had called around because she had actually acknowledged to me that, they really do not know what to do with men when the cancer comes back and they've been on tamoxifen. And, coming with that diagnosis, I mean, the first time in 2007, I had a tough time wrapping my head around this whole concept of breast cancer because it was like, men don't get breast cancer.
Right, sure.
And so the second time, it was more of, okay, I've been on this drug for 4 years. I've been doing my blood work. I've been seeing the doctors. How could this come back?
Well, you had said to me when it did come back, of course, the whole shock to the system, right? Oh my God, it's back again.
Yes.
And it's also a rare cancer for a man to have. They put you on another very powerful drug, Lupron, which you had some side effects on. Now, instead of dwelling on that, let's talk about the transformation that happened to you at that point. You didn't want to be on drugs. You were having terrible side effects from it. And you had a kind of an awakening at that point, didn't you?
Yeah, it was interesting. It was like prior to the second diagnosis, Tim and I had bought a place in Greenwich. And I had found out that there was a yoga studio right in the village. And I had always been drawn to yoga, never took it. But, something just was saying, start this. And so I ended up starting taking yoga classes right in the village of Greenwich. And the teacher, Zadie, was wonderful. And she was very conscious of my journey with cancer. And she would talk about different types of alternative routes and stuff. And I was still in that mindset of traditional medicine.
Right, most people are.
Yeah.
Let's face it. You're scared, you don't know what the heck to do.
Yeah, and so, but what also happened within that class, which was amazing, the people that go to that class, and there was a woman in the class, Maud Maynard, who lives in Greenwich and is a Reiki practitioner. And so over time, I was a little reluctant at first to kind of pursue it, but over time I ended up taking a Reiki session with her and loved it.
Now, didn't that led to Eastern medicine?
Yes.
It led to acupuncture, correct?
Yes. I mean, what came of that then with the second diagnosis and then with the stronger drug and the side effects, I then ended up getting to that place of frustration that I was willing now, to look beyond the drug program and what was happening. And so Zaidi, my yoga teacher, had always talked about acupuncture. And so I decided, which is ironic, when we were talking, I was telling you how I'm not a big fan of needles.
Right.
And so even after 7 years of this and them drawing blood, I have to look the other way. Here I was pursuing therapy that's sticking needles all over your body. But it was like the yoga and like the Reiki, it was this immediate connection. It was this immediate release of fear. It was this immediate inner peace that I was looking for.
Well, Michael, they always talk about this. They say that when you get involved with Eastern medicine, yoga, Reiki, you start to shift your thinking about your energy flow.
Yes.
And you realize all the negative impacts on your body from the things that we witness every day, fear, anxiety, and these things, and they're poisonous, they're toxins.
Yeah.
I love the phrase that you said to me, that at this point that you were finding your voice.
Yes.
So tell me about all
energy
of this we're talking about
leads up to
energy medicine.
I mean, it was like the way this all happened with the yoga, with the Reiki, with the acupuncture. And I was struggling with the drug.
It was opening doors.
It was. And that's the thing that I had learned. I was also reading a lot of different authors on healing and realizing my own empowerment in the way that I choose my thoughts, my beliefs, my actions or reactions. And so and as you start opening up to this, these people cross your path.
Right.
And so after at this point I was doing the yoga, I'm doing the Reiki, I'm doing the acupuncture, still struggling with the drug. My doctor was reluctant to stop the drug. And so I crossed paths with this individual, John Hurst from Pownell, Vermont, who is a GP in Vermont, but also does an integrative approach to energy medicine. And with all of those, we were talking about the energy flows, you were saying, I was starting to connect with that and realizing how a disruption or a blockage within your energy flow can lead to illness or disease, as well as the stress of everyday life. And so I started going to John, and he also mainly was just working with the energy flow. Realizing my struggle that I was having with the drug and with everything, probably one of the best things he said to me was, follow your heart.
Right, yeah, I wrote that down.
Yeah, and it was like, that just hit home. And again, it tied in with that whole journey of finding your voice.
So you've been following this path.
Yes.
And the results are pretty phenomenal, right? I mean, at this point, how many years?
It has been 4 years since my second diagnosis.
Right.
And for a while, I was going to my oncologist every 3 months. She now has moved that back to every 6 months.
Good.
Because everything looks so well. I am not doing any drugs. I do supplements and vitamins. I also look at my nutrition. I'm very conscious of, as I talked about, my stress level. I'm conscious about the thoughts that I'm choosing or any anger or resentment that I'm holding on to. I'm looking at fear, where fear used to drive my life. Fear now is a teacher to me and lets me know that I need to learn something. And I look at fear in a whole different way. It's not that it's completely gone. It will never be completely gone. But it's now relegated to the role of teacher rather than the driving force in my life.
Well, you know what? And I just want to say to our viewers, how much of this, now this happens to be related to something very, very serious in Michael's life, but how many of us allow fear to rule our lives? How many of us just rely on Western medicine? How many of us actually follow our heart? How many of us find our voice? Well, Michael, I mean, now Michael wrote a book about this, and we're going to send you to our website where you can find out about it. It's called Healing Within, My Journey with Breast Cancer. And Michael, that's fantastic. I'm going to have you back again, all right? You're just an
love it.
inspiration to talk to. Well, look, happy holidays to you.
Thank you so much
and
for this
good
opportunity.
health.
Thank you.
Does it sound good?
It sounds great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
To see this interview again, please head to our website, looktvonline.com.